Hi there, I'm Seb Maley, and in this video we'll be looking at two recent IR35 cases that were heard at the Court of Appeal. Both of these cases involved broadcasters and are part of HMRC's continued targeting of high-profile individuals. Both had also gone through the investigation process and then first tier and upper tribunal hearings. The first case we'll talk about involved the radio presenter Paul Hawksbee, who had been a mainstay on TalkSport since 2000. HMRC were specifically looking at his engagements with TalkSport between 2012 and 2015. And the case was originally heard at a first-tier tribunal back in 2018. Despite it being positive news, it still came as somewhat of a surprise that the judge determined that Mr. Hawksbee was outside IR35. After all, by that stage, he had worked for TalkSport for 18 years and presented a long-running show which even had his name in the title. It was therefore no surprise that HMRC appealed the decision, and the case proceeded to an upper tribunal in 2020. In that instance, the judge overturned the first tier's decision, focusing on the fact that there was an obligation on TalkSport to provide shows for Mr. Hawksbee to present, which was contrary to the findings of the first tier tribunal. This meant that the judges considered that, on balance, Mr. Hawksbee would have been an employee of TalkSport rather than self-employed. Mr. Hawksbee then appealed the result, and in February 2022, the case was heard at the Court of Appeal. There were four grounds of appeal put forward by Mr. Hawksbee, where he felt that the upper tribunal had erred in law. Unfortunately for him, the judges rejected all four grounds and therefore upheld the upper tribunal's decision that Mr. Hawksbee was an employee, which will leave him with a tax bill of some £53,000. The second case is a bit more complex and involves the TV and radio presenter Kaye Adams. She is perhaps best known for appearing on ITV's Loose Women, but the engagements in question in this case related to a radio show she presented for the BBC. It's another long-running case, with the first tribunal hearing taking place back in 2019. Ms. Adams was successful in the first tier, and like with Mr. Hawksbee, HMRC appealed the result. Unlike the Hawksbee case though, the upper tribunal upheld the first tier result, and it was HMRC who then appealed and took the case to the Court of Appeal. This case is an interesting one as it doesn't focus on the traditional factors usually cited in status cases like substitution or control. But a lot of the arguments were whether Ms. Adams was in business on her own account and whether her entire freelancing career should be taken into account when analysing the engagements in question. One of HMRC's grounds of appeal was that things like control should take absolute precedence when making a decision, and whether she was in business on her own account or not should be an insignificant factor. The judge firmly disagreed though and reiterated that all evidence should always be viewed in the round and a holistic determination made. Unfortunately, the judge also decided that the first tier and upper tribunals had fundamentally failed to take into account many facts which would impact the decision. This means the case is being sent back down to a lower tribunal for it to be reheard. And that means that Ms. Adams will have even longer to wait for a resolution and that the case is still very finely balanced. We'll keep you informed of any developments, so please subscribe to our channel for regular updates like this. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.